Hello everyone, it's Paul from Mode 7 here again. Thanks very much for watching these. Sorry about no video yesterday. I was down in Oxford working with the rest of Mode 7 on trying to get some of this information that we've figured out about the levels into the actual levels themselves. I'm going to show you another very early one here. Probably could even be the first level in a playthrough. We're creating a little pool of these levels so that you get randomized ones each time. At different stages of the game. What we're doing now, what Robin's doing, is he's moved on to dealing with the proper sort of more meaty missions, because we've got some quite nice easy ones now. You won't necessarily have 3 machine gunners at this point. You may only have 2. So I'm going to try just playing with 2 actually and see what happens here. So again, we have a pistol unit patrolling around the lot. This is a bit of a smaller lot here. Sorry about this truck cab. Obviously, the truck cab will be full height cover eventually, and it will have a low height sort of joining bit between the cab and the trailer. This unit, I'm just going to move in. I know that the pistol unit is easy to take out. Just to kind of clarify these units in the lot, they're going to have some kind of symbol around them, I hope, or some obvious signifying thing that's going to demonstrate to you that if you test the plan, you can see where they're going to go. So it's almost like you've kind of hacked these units in some way, and you can predict their movement. This is to enable some stealth gameplay. If you can't observe to see the kind of patterns in patrol movements, there's no point doing stealth. You just have to keep committing turns and staying static and watching the units move, which would be really terrible. So some units, you will be able to see their plans in advance, something that we're going to have to train players to do. But once you know that and you figure it out, it does actually add quite a lot to the game, because there are some of these pattern things. I'm not going to really care about stealth with these units. I'm just going to shoot them down. In more advanced levels, what will happen is there will be some kind of aggro response in the lot. If you are spotted, then maybe other units will come in from elsewhere, or maybe there'll be units patrolling around different places. This unit's decided to run away because he's a pistol. That's quite a wise option. So I'm just going to assume that I will get the kill there and move in. Pretty happy with how things are going. I think we've got to a place now where the levels that are being made are aligned with the kind of overall structure of the game. It's because I clicked away from the window. I had a bit of lag there. Sorry about that. Ignore the unlock zones. Those are placeholders. Okay, now, so we have a bit more of an exciting situation in this one. What I could have done, if I was being intelligent, was perhaps put a unit up here and then use the cover to shoot in. So now I've got a bit more of a tricky situation where I could get into some trouble with some of these units. What I'm going to do, I think, is just to bring this unit around here, and I'll start aiming in like that, and this unit here, I will sort of just hang out by this door. I could potentially get into some issues with that Uzi. Yeah, so I think instead of that, I will just take the conservative route, cover that door in case anyone comes out, and then send this unit around there. Let's try that. So quite a lot more units in this level. We don't want to really swamp the player at this point, so hopefully you'll be able to see there won't be a kind of mass exodus of these units. One thing that we're trying to do is strategically use defense areas so that they don't, immediately run out. Yeah, so you can see that here. They're kind of patrolling around in there a little bit, some of them taking up various positions, but our little flanking maneuver worked pretty well. I think, did we get the Uzi there? I think we did. One thing I would like is the ability to just kind of skip back a little way into the previous turn. Don't know if we're going to be able to do that. No, the Uzi's sneaking up there and we took out one of the pistols, so that's fine. I shall just do this here and wait a little bit, and then I shall... that's interesting. I shall aim over here. Do we have an orders problem? Yes, that's a little bit fiddly. I think there should be an aim handle on there. Either I didn't notice it or it didn't appear. Still need to look at that. We do have a fair amount of UI and UX-y stuff to do. Wait. Well, I actually don't need that, do I? If we can aim in through there and then get to there and retarget, that's fine. And now I shall just generally aim in here. I might get taken out by that Uzi, so I'll just re-aim there in case that happens. The Uzis are good in terms of not super trivial units like the pistols, but kind of mid easy units, and I'm just starting to get a handle on how we're going to want to use those as we build out these early levels. I think they're going to be making a fair number of appearances in the first few levels you do. Just give it a moment. Okay, Uzi decides to charge in. I thought he was going to come out there. In fact, he was just charging around to try and get range on me. So that might be a case of needing to set that unit to do a different type of AI behavior once the level is unveiled. As I said, what we're doing here is trying to avoid situations where you get immediately rushed. The AI is pretty good, so if you switch on the base AI, they will immediately kind of rush at you and take up positions around you, which is way too hard for this early stage. So looking at that unit's behavior, I think it might be something that we want to tweak there. There is a fine balance between units sort of responding intelligently and being too aggressive. But again, I think after you get after the first couple of levels, you won't have that sort of issue. Great, okay, we'll end this mission and I'll take a look at another one. Alright, here's another level. Please ignore this slightly comedic shape. I'm not sure that will be staying, but we'll press on nonetheless. Okay, on this one I'm going to try and use a window while I unlock the lockdown zone. Or the locked down building, however we're going to term that. We're working on some art for that currently, which will sort of explain the fact that these windows are shuttered and that the doors are closed and so on. That unit carrying some money is patrolling away from us, so we have actually successfully managed to engage in stealth. Although I did leave that turn running a really long time, which is very silly of me. But nevertheless, we shall ignore that. That unit will come around and probably attack us. So why don't I just run away? I'll see if I can make it. They probably are going to be faster than me. And planning for them is broken, so I can't test that. Except I can test this. I don't need to plan for them because I can see their plan. This is why we need a reminder about the fact that you can see plans. I don't think I can escape there without being seen. Oh, they turn around. Yes, they will. So, I mean, I can sort of Benny Hill out here. No, I'll get spotted there as well. All right, well, I'll just have to kill them. That's fine. Send this unit here, unlock the zone, and we'll be good to go next time. If we put this level sort of second, maybe, I will consider adding some more stuff to the lot. Perhaps a couple of Uzis in the lot might be good, or one Uzi. And lots and the actual kind of central area of the level are things that are very much separate in our minds right now. Again, some hitching, but that's my computer's fault, not the game's, I believe. Let's just see what happened there again. No, it is the game's fault. Intriguing. I'll have to look at why that is. Alright, so we didn't quite get the great window position that I wanted. And we're actually in some danger. These zones won't be across the door like this. They will be on the side of the wall a little bit. So I will retreat like this and start taking out units. Now, the pistols may even be slightly underpowered in general. If we're putting them in these early levels a lot, a slight buff to them won't have too many negative effects, potentially. It is something I'm considering asking Ian about. He may not want to do that, of course. Who knows what he'll want to do. Let's see how this turn goes. I am going to try to... I don't know if I can actually see that. Barely. I am going to try and not spoil the game too much by showing every level. And I'll also try and sort of take out any story spoilers if I am going to show levels on here. I want you to feel free to watch this channel even if you're concerned about spoiling elements of the game, because it's really nice to have people following development to the extent that you folks are. Thank you so much. Right. I think we get the gist here. I mean, again, training the player to use these windows is a nice thing to do. Having these Uzis around, I think we could afford to actually swap out some pistols for Uzis at this point. But by the same token, you really want some stuff that you're just doing and kind of dealing with, especially when you have a very low number of units. We want you to be able to go into the city and do various things once the level's ended. And if a unit dies in the level, they have to be regenerated back at base. We don't have permadeath in the game currently. with games like Frozen Synapse, you tend to lose units a lot more than you do in a game like XCOM. If you lose a unit in XCOM, you know, it's a big deal. That Uzi managed to scoot out of there, so I will just continue playing briefly. In those games, you invest a lot into every sort of single unit, whereas in this game, it's about your squad and so on. The regeneration mechanic works really well. Regeneration time can actually be affected by services that your faction is buying from other factions in the city. So if one faction goes and takes over the biolab, you don't have access to the same regeneration facilities. Regeneration will cost more, it will take longer, things like that. So we are trying to tie in some of these mechanics to the services. That Uzi is going full-on commando mode. I think this is why I'm wary to add a lot of them early. Although I keep saying I want to tweak and perhaps add some more Uzis, I don't want to get killed. I'm just being very lazy here to see if the Uzi is going to come and punish me for that laziness. But you can imagine a level kind of full of Uzis might be quite tricky. They are quite fast moving, even though their range is a bit short and their time to aim is a bit long. They can be tricky. They can come upon you unawares. As I said, we are generally happy with how things are going. We have to up the rate of level production because we want there to be lots and lots and lots of these levels in the game. We don't want you to see the same ones too many times. We want to kind of make sure that there's meaningful variation there. I'm sure... I forgot to pick that up. I'm sure people will want to see if I actually do successfully manage to corner this Uzi, so I will keep doing that until I do. I'm going to risk my relic here. I could, at this point, just choose to run out with the relic, and I think I'd be relatively successful in that. I want to find a nicer colour and a nicer way of doing these exit zones, because they're one of the worst looking things about the level. Also, civilians are in a bit of a random, crazy place right now. We probably need to reduce the number of them. As I said before, they won't be panicking until the fog zones, or the lockdown zones, excuse me, are unlocked. So you might get a chance to see some more interesting sort of coherent civilian behaviour. These are all secondary things that we'll be adding to the level after we finish the core game stuff. I think I can probably flush them out with my machine gunner. Haven't seen shotgunners much yet in levels. They are still quite hard, as they were in Frozen Synapse 1. It's going to be interesting when we start mixing them in with different enemy unit compositions, which is, again, something that will be happening right now. So you'll see me dying and losing levels a lot more at that point once we do that. So I'm just going to do one more turn because I don't want to belabor this too much. And then I will move on to answering some of your questions at the end of the video. That Uzi is camping. Very, very tricky. Oh, No, I can't do it. I can't leave this Uzi. I can't let them sneak away from me like this. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. I can't do it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I promise. And finally, with a bit of glitch in the death animation, we managed to take them out. Right. That's the end of that. Now it's time for your questions. Right, the first thing to say is thank you so much for the comments on lockdown. We really have turned a corner with this now. It was quite a stressful and difficult thing to see a negative reaction to a gameplay development that had been introduced to the game, and it was pretty challenging to sort of figure it out. But we think we've now got to a place where everything will make sense. So there will be doors, there will be shutters on the windows, and those will all come down when you unlock the building. And as you can see, we've embraced that gameplay-wise, and we're using it on specific buildings and areas. We don't want to have there be too much of that stuff going on. So I think we've cracked that now. So thank you to Kendrick, Damien W, BlueTag 9009 for making nice comments about them. Will there be any updates to the beta soon? As I said, we will be updating the beta when we have a big collection of levels, when we have faction ventures working, and you can just sort of really sit down and get into the mid-game. That's going to be the target for the next beta, I think. A solid block of playing where you can really engage with all the game systems, you can see everything working, and then you can talk to us about how the game feels, about balance, and about some of these later sort of fine-tuning issues. So that's what we'll be aiming for with the next beta. Horazia says, I'm looking forward to the campaign, but I do not like the fog zones. Is it possible to have a recon unit or spy network? The player would need to use up more resources, but they would not need to deal with the fog zones. That kind of thing, no, is unlikely to happen. It's a core gameplay mechanic, so having a system that removes that would kind of invalidate a load of the levels and not really make any sense. Hopefully the lockdown areas will prove to be something that you do like. They massively improve the flow of levels. They enable us to do lots of different types of levels. They massively increase the creative options for the level designer. So although sometimes it might be annoying to look at a building and see that it's locked and have to go and unlock it, we hope that's outweighed by the benefit that this brings in terms of, you know, the options that we have creating levels. Explosive Lava, thank you. Anton Masio, if it's a lockdown, how do the civilians manage to run out of the restaurant door? They won't be doing that. That's just a bug currently, or rather an ancient, outdated feature. Positioning the team outside windows before revealing is nice, give some tactical ideas. Yes, we definitely want you to be able to doing that, and designing the level so that's possible will be important. By the way, can you hit a civilian by a stray bullet? Haven't quite worked that out yet. I think that will happen. Some factions will be targeting civilians, and you'll want to stop them doing that, otherwise the district will become upset with you. There will be some interaction with civilians along those lines, not figured out yet. Frank K, thank you. You play SS entirely for the multiplayer and you'd like to see any updates in regards to leaderboards, ladders or tournament features that will be implemented into FS2. Yeah, problems with the tournament function. We know there are still some problems with that in FS1. I don't think that's going to be fixed, unfortunately. What we will do is take a look generally at those secondary multiplayer features at some point in FS2, and as soon as we're doing that, I will let you know. At the moment, our focus really is very much on this single-player game. Ian talked about one-turns and various multiplayer features back in some of the older dev diaries. That's all still in the game, so if you want to take a look at those, please feel free. I will definitely remember to keep you updated on any multiplayer stuff that we're doing, but our focus is on this right now. Neo Wolf, those maps are huge. Add a dog unit, please. A very fast one. That's actually a cool idea. I'm kind of interested in that. I don't think we'll do that for release, but a DLC dog unit, I kind of like that. If we can get a thing that looks nice and is animated well, we can do it. Ivkeen, I hope I've said your name correctly. Thank you for the nice comments on lockdown zones. Reducing the number of lockdown zones. Yes, that's right. We don't want to have loads and loads and loads. Dugong, thank you. How will fog zones work with explosives? This was a really good question, and I raised that with Ian yesterday. And we've both decided that what we want to try and do is have, if you fire a rocket at the wall of a lockdown zone, it unlocks the zone and allows you to go in through that route. However, there will be big political consequences for blowing up buildings in this game. If you keep blowing up buildings, the district will get very upset with you for causing lots of destruction. So we're hoping to kind of balance it out that way. It'll be something where if you want to use that approach, it might make some levels a little bit easier, but equally it will make your map game, your strategic game a bit harder, and you'll have to keep dealing with that. So hopefully that will work. We might try it and it just might break every level and be terrible, in which case we'll have to do something else. There will be some indestructible walls in the game, but we're not going to use those too much. So we will see, but the plan is to go for the most fun option and have you blowing up walls and have that matter. Zorbaz Englander, you could have lockdown be part of digging further into a heavily defended base where you have to clear the courtyard, then reach wall. Yeah, so we want to have levels be phases. The lot will be the first phase, breaching into the building will be the second phase, and then getting to the relic, getting to your goal, whatever that might be, will be the third phase. And in some of the more advanced levels, you'll see some pretty distinct and hopefully a bit wacky stuff for each of those phases to just provide lots and lots of variety and keep the levels exciting. Muji is the best. Keon, hello again. Liking lockdown, thank you so much. Makes sense, although jamming zones behaving like a localized dark mode. Now that's very interesting. I don't know if we can do that. One of the reasons is that it's going to be really hard to communicate to players. There is a lot for players to figure out in this, and we're going to be introducing mechanics gradually as we go, but there are a lot of things to deal with on the level. Localized dark mode, I think, is going to be tough to demonstrate. You'd have to have a zone sort of over the area in which it was happening. You'd have to have notifications and make it really, really clear to the player that's what it was like. However, you might have levels where the lot is light, but the building is dark. That could definitely work. We'd have to really stress that to the player so that you're not missing that. But it's something that I think could be interesting. I don't know if we have the technical capacity to do that yet, we'll see. There's quite a lot that we'll be doing in levels anyway. There will be some completely dark levels, definitely. I really, really want to work with that. Dark has been used in some of the fully randomly generated levels, which I haven't really shown yet. Ian's used dark in some interesting ways there. There's a concept called the light room, which is basically a switch that unlocks dark on the level. So if you kind of go there first and find that and unlock it, you can turn the level to light, which is a really nice secondary goal. So we are playing around with some of those ideas currently. How it's going to be integrated exactly, I don't know. Right, thank you very much for those questions once again. Really do appreciate them, and I will talk to you next time.